Hi guys, welcome back to Fragments of a Simple Life. For every video I make is super simple. Now I know what you're thinking. Scary places, haunted houses, it's too early. Well, it's too early for some people and other people are ready for it to be Halloween. I know that retail establishments are ready for it to be Halloween, so I thought, why not do a little bit of spooky in July? I have my magazine of America's Scariest Places, Haunted, Creepy, and Abandoned. You can see up here with the little post-its, we have done a lot of these stories because I put a post-it for everyone that I've already read. If you're new to my channel and you like this kind of stuff, please go look in my playlist that I believe is called Magazine Reading or just Magazines. You'll find it there. And then I have also picked or grabbed the haunted houses one. This one's the scary mysteries. I don't know if I did this one last time, but again, we have a bunch of little post-its right there where you can kind of see how many we've read. I think I'm going to start with this one. I do have my handy dandy gray post-its. I'm just going to rip one off every time I read a story. I don't know what's left in here to read, so your guess is as good as mine. We're just going to turn to a story in here that doesn't have a post-it stuck to it, and we'll read it. This is the table of contents. So this magazine is a little different than the other one. Has houses of horror, hotel hauntings, paranormal places, eerie ghost towns, unsolved mysteries, all kinds of stuff. This is just an introduction. I've read it before. I'm sorry, my next door neighbors are moving. This is another introduction about the business of dark tourism. Okay, I guess I'll start right here. The how do you say it? Villisca? I don't know how to say it, guys. That. The Axe Murder House. It's in Iowa. It says that you can get the full story of this murder house. However you say that. Is it Villisca or is it like Spanish? Like Vallisca? I don't know. I don't know how to say it, guys. Anyways, sorry. But it says that you can get more information on the House Beautiful's Dark House podcast. I don't know what that is. It says for $428, groups of 6 or fewer can book an overnight stay to sleep in the very room of the Axe Murder House where the original owners were killed in 1912. I'm sorry if it's too creepy for bed. For the less courageous, daytime tours can also be booked. Oh, for only $10 a person. Okay, so obviously people died in here. I too am a butcher of whatever this house is called. I'm just gonna say Axe Murder House and skip that word. Sorry. It says, almost like a dollhouse in its simple layout, this 3-bedroom home at 508 East 2nd Street in, again, is it Villisca, Iowa? I don't know, guys. Has the ambiguous look of countless other cozy farmhouses across the country. But it has a deep, dark history. Over a century ago, on one terrible evening in 1912, 8 people, the home's occupants Josiah B. Moore, 43, and his wife Sarah Moore, 39, and their 4 children, Herman, 11, Catherine, 10, Arthur, 7, and Paul, 5, and their 2 young guests, Ina, 8, oh, I know this story, and Lena Stillinger, 12, they were like having a sleepover or something, were killed in the house in a grisly case that rattled the small town and then went cold. Some of the most unsettling details about this crime scene include a hidden attic, a door locked from the inside, and linens covering every window and mirror. Yeah, I definitely remember this story. So weird. While every suspect and lead eventually turned into a dead end, the story of the house didn't stop there. The house changed hands a few times over the past 100 years, and the reported ghost encounters keep accumulating. Spooky happenings like a disembodied giggle, screams, unexplained movements, strange fog moving from room to room when the train passes through town at the time of the murders. Curious behavior from visitors that suggest the possibility of a possession are just some of the activities in the house, a terrifying place to be, and solidifies its title as one of America's most haunted houses. I'm pretty sure I've seen other YouTubers cover this story. It says, today the home serves as a paranormal hotel operated by owner Martha Lynn. Accommodations are spare. In fact, it's recommended that guests pack their own sleeping bag. Not that they'll get much sleep. According to Lynn, she simply hands the guests the keys when they arrive and then leaves them alone for the night. But that's the real kicker. They probably won't be alone if it really is as haunted as it's rumored to be. As for Lynn, she doesn't like to talk about her own ghost sightings in the house, so as not to color the experience for the guests. That's fair, because you wouldn't want people to say they saw something just because you say you saw it. It makes it more easier to trust what you're seeing or hearing. She did, however, share who she thinks the ghosts are. I feel like there's something there. If indeed there are spirits, you have to realize that 6 of them are children. I don't know if the murder still exists there, but there have been a few things that have happened that aren't exactly calming. But I don't like to dwell on that. That's so creepy. See, she knows what she's doing though. She says just enough. Isn't that a horrible story though? Horrible. Okay, let's turn the page. There's another one that I haven't done. The Harlow Burn House in Los Angeles. I feel like I might have covered this one. Oh no, I did do it. I was like, I thought I covered this one. Here's what I didn't do. No post-it. No post-it. Wow, look how big. S.K. Pierce Mansion in Gardner, Massachusetts. Look at that. Words I know how to read. It says you can get the full story of the S.K. Pierce Mansion on House Beautiful's Dark House podcast. So again, if you want to scan that, let me scoot it over. I really will scoot it over for you guys. That way, if you want to listen to the podcast, you can scan that and listen to it. But finish this video first, please. Okay, let's read about it. It says, a little blurb up here, not all of the ghosts at the mansion are dark and menacing. It is believed that the spirit of Mattie Cornwall, the young nanny who cared for the Pierce children, acts as a protector of the house, keeping the other spirits in check and warding off unwelcome trespassers. This looks like a child's room in the picture. It says, towering over the corner of West Broadway and Union Street in Gardner, Massachusetts, this mansion with its gray siding and black shutters is a perfect archetype for a haunted house, or of a haunted house. But unlike most other notoriously haunted homes in the country, the S.K. Pierce Mansion was never the scene of any infamous crime. Rather, it was the dream home of a wealthy businessman that, upon its completion in 1875, turned into a nightmare. The classic Victorian mansion, which spans 6,661 square feet, that's a big house, is named after its original owner, furniture manufacturer Sylvester Knowlton Pierce. Pierce spared no expense in building the 3-story home, but he barely had time to enjoy it before a tragedy struck. 2 weeks after moving in, Pierce's wife Susan died from a flesh-eating bacteria infection. After S.K. Pierce died at home in 1888, the house was willed to his second wife Ellen, who also eventually died there. The home was then left to Pierce's 3 sons, who spent years fighting over ownership until the 2 eldest sons moved away. Gaining control of Victorian did not result in happiness for the youngest son, Edward. His 2-year-old Rachel died of a bacterial infection in the home. What the heck? After the Great Depression depleted the family's fortune, Edward and his wife converted the mansion into a boarding house to make ends meet. By 1965, the house had fallen apart and Edward was forced to give it away. The fifth person known to have died in the mansion was Eno Surrey, a Gardner resident and World War II vet who lived there when it was a boarding house. In 1963, he burned to death at age 49 in the main bedroom after his mattress mysteriously caught fire. Since then, several visitors describe a similar experience in the main bedroom. For a second, they smell the scent of something burning. There's also stories of childlike spirit, thought to be Rachel, playing on the 3rd floor. In the 2 years that Edwin Gonzalez and Lillian Otero lived there, from 2009 to 2011, neighbors described seeing a boy with yellow hair running between the windows, but the couple did not have children. Edwin and Lillian also encountered multiple entities in the house, including a shadow figure in the basement and a woman with a creepy smile who may have tried to possess Lillian. I don't know if I believe that. Their story was the subject of a book, Bone in the Basement, by Joni Mahan. The current owners, who bought the home sight unseen in 2015, have opened it up for historical tours and overnight weekly and monthly rentals. You know, I'm going to pass on the rental part. That's just me. Like, if I was a ghost hunter for like a TV show or a YouTube channel, sure, we're renting it. But just like for a vacation, it's going to be a no. Okay, let's read one more. Playboy Mansion. Let's pass. The Mercer Williams house in Savannah, Georgia. Okay, I'll read this one and then we'll move on and read a couple from America's Scariest Places. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll save it for a different video. I haven't decided, guys. I'm winging it right now. Okay, this is the Mercer Williams house in Savannah, Georgia. Again, you can scan that thing to listen to the podcast on House Beautiful's Dark House podcast. Up here it says the mansion's architectural highlights include a 15-foot high ceilings, elaborate moldings, charming interior shutters, an interior stained glass dome, and an internal courtyard between the main house and a carriage house. So it looks really beautiful and really big. It says the former home of antique collector and restorationist, that's a hard word, Jim Williams from 1969 to 1990. This mansion at 429 Bull Street takes up an entire city block of Monterey Square, and it's one of the most spectacular homes in all of Savannah. But in true Southern Gothic fashion, peel back the layers of charm and you'll find something sinister underneath. Known as the Mercer Williams house, well, this house is even bigger. The 7,000 square foot Italianate mansion dates back to 1860 when General Hugh Mercer commissioned New York City-based architect John S. Norris to build it. However, construction was interrupted by the Civil War and Mercer never lived in the home. According to the Georgia Historical Society, it was first occupied by John R. Wilder in 1868, then abandoned for a number of years until Savannah's historic district was revitalized in the mid-20th century when Williams came to town. Today is a crucial stop on the city's many ghost tours and is also the residence that inspired John Bernadette's best-selling 1994 novel, Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Wow. The house has seen at least 3 deaths, including that of an 11-year-old named Tommy Downs when he fell off the roof in 1969. The 1981 fatal shooting of Danny Hansford by Williams, and Williams himself when he died in the same room less than a year after being acquitted of Hansford's death in a 4th trial. Wow. Long before the tragedies, though, the house played host to the busiest Christmas party in all of Savannah. Guests who were lucky enough to attend would be in good company. Williams' priceless antique collection, including a gold crown cipher of Sir Nicholas II, a piece of late carriage used by the coronation of Napoleon, and a pair of $10,000 crystal candlesticks that were a gift from Martha and George Washington to their daughter on their wedding day. Why do you have that? Huh. There's also a full-blown organ installed in the home. Underneath is its steam collection. The house itself is rumored to be built right on top of unmarked graves of people who died in the yellow fever epidemic in the 1800s. Don't build houses on known burial sites. If it's an accident, that's one thing. Then maybe you can ask for forgiveness. But if you knew and you built the house there, no wonder the original guy didn't even get to live in it. Tisk tisk. It says gossip about the crime and assuming paranormal tales swirl to this day. Many visitors report visions of a little boy on a balcony or in a window. And a few years after William died, people started to report hearing lively music and seeing the house lit up around Christmas. Oh, that's sad. But when authorities arrived, there was no activity observed. The mansion's current owner and William's sister, Dorothy Kingery, focuses museum tours of the home on the fabulous antiques and the architectural details rather than any hauntings. That doesn't stop ghost stories from circulating, though. Yeah, I appreciate the thought, but if the place is haunted and people say it enough, I think more people these days will come for that than for anything else. Let's see. There's a lot that we already did. Ooh, 10 must-watch scary movies. Look at this. They're giving you Hitchcock's Psycho, Rosemary's Baby, Halloween, the original, Alien. It's funny because I go back and forth with my husband because I was like, Alien's not a horror movie, not to me. It's not that scary. But my husband was like, it is. It's a scary movie. We should watch it for Halloween. He was right. If it's in this magazine, right? Huh. The Exorcist, The Shining, of course. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the first original. Silence of the Lambs, Jaws, which doesn't scare me, and The Ring, which scared the crap out of me. Not gonna lie. Okay, let's turn to the other magazine. See what I have left in here. I have read this one a lot. So let's try and see if there's, just gonna flip it, you guys, see if there's anything left in here. Here's one. Hotel Monte Vista. This is in Flagstaff, Arizona. Almost a dozen ghosts call this place home, and some are friendlier than others. Okay, hate that. That's John Wayne, in case you guys are wondering. And this one I already did. That's why the big post-it piece is right there. Okay, it says, once the social center of Flagstaff, the Hotel Monte Vista was built in 1924 and played host to numerous stars of early cinema, including Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, and John Wayne. The Duke actually had an encounter with one of the Arizona Hotel's most famous ghosts, a phantom bellhop who regularly knocks on your room door in the middle of the night and says in a faraway voice, "Room service is here." And then in parentheses here it says, Wayne was not particularly frightened of the visitor, noting that the ghost was quite polite and unthreatening. That's crazy. John Wayne is like, this place is haunted. Since then, spectral sightings have become so common, hotel staff members take them in stride. Poltergeists regularly move furniture and knock things over. Eerie music from an old-time dance band plays from an empty second-floor lobby. A bank robber who died at the Monte Vista lobby greets the barman with a soft hello when he opens the bar each morning. Room 305 is perhaps the most haunted spot in the place and was featured in an episode of TV's Unsolved Mysteries. Wow. An old rocking chair by the window is always in motion, though no one is sitting in it. No matter how often the staff moves this chair, it always ends up back in its old position. People looking up at the window from the street have reported seeing a face looking out. An old woman who glares at them before disappearing. Numerous guests to room 306 have complained of being woken up in the middle of the night, not being able to get back to sleep due to feeling like they're being watched. Oh, I hate that. Some male guests have complained having hands placed over their mouths, unable to breathe. 2 prostitutes were killed in the room in the early 1940s. Yikes. We'll try not to waste the Post-its and put just a piece of Post-it. The little blurb up here says, in 1980s, a worker left a room to get a fixture, turning off lights and locking the door. When he returned, the TV was on and the sheets had been stripped from the bed. Nope. I think I'd quit that day, you guys. I think I would have to quit. Driscoll Hotel. This one's very famous. Okay, let's read about this one. This is in Austin, Texas. A president and first lady are among the historic landmark's spectral residents. I'll read the little blurb first. It says, Lyndon B. Johnson addressed supporters in the Driscoll Ballroom after winning the 1964 presidential election and performed an enthusiastic victory dance later that night. And that's them right there. Okay, it says located in downtown Austin, Texas, the Driscoll Hotel has been a constant hive of activity since it opened in 1886. Not all the activity is generated by living people. The landmark's building is home to a host of specters, poltergeists, and wandering spirits, including a young girl named Samantha who fell down the lobby stairs and broke her neck in 1887. Jesus. And still roams the hallways looking for other children to play with. There's an old railway worker named Peter Lawless who lived on the 5th floor for 31 years before his death. Oh, that's sad. And he's been seen getting off the elevator and rushing through the lobby, checking his pocket watch as if late for an appointment. Aww. It says, chief among the ghosts who haunt the hotel is Jesse Driscoll, the Tennessee-born adventurer and businessman who built the place in the 1800s for the then princely sum of $7,500. Wow. Driscoll had already made and lost several fortunes by that time, and not long after he burned through all of his money again, he was forced to sell. There's even a story that he lost the hotel in a card game and haunts the place, distraught over the lost or losing hand. In life, Driscoll would greet all his guests in the hotel lobby, puffing on a cigar and shaking hands. Sometimes staff and guests will get a whiff of his cigar, even though the hotel went smoke-free years ago. Once the ghost even asked a late-night worker for a light before suddenly vanishing. I don't know if I believe that. That's like too crazy. But there are even more famous spectral inhabitants of the hotel's former owner. President Lyndon B. Johnson and his wife, Lady Bird, had their first date in the hotel dining room in 1934 and were later frequent guests. Visitors claim they often caught glimpses of the pair hanging out in the ballroom. Maybe they're having another dance. That's cute. We know this hotel, right? I did this story already. Isn't it big? Just trying to find one more at least. Again, all of these with post-its means that I've read it. Please go check out the magazine playlist on my channel if you want to keep going or go backwards in time, because I've read all of these magazines. I have one more, I think, of these kind of magazines, and I've read them all before. Please hold for ambulance. Okay, it's still going by, but it's getting quieter. We have in Mississippi the Glenwood Cemetery. Did an old woman's curse consume a town? Jeez. I'll read the blurb afterwards because I kind of feel like it gives stuff away. So let's just read about it. It says, it was a ferocious blaze consuming everything in its path. And in less than a day, in May 1904, it burned down the town of Yazoo, Mississippi, to the ground. The fire started spreading at 8 in the morning, and by 5 that afternoon, 125 buildings were destroyed, including City Hall, 4 churches, all the banks. No one has ever determined exactly how the inferno started, but soon afterward, a legend began to take hold among the residents that the blaze was the result of a curse. The person who cast it, an old woman known to history only as the Witch of Yazoo. 2 decades earlier, this unnamed old crone or crony had lived on a secluded stretch of the Yazoo River. One day, in 1884, a young boy peeked into her window and saw her performing a strange ritual above the bodies of 2 dead men. Yikes. The boy ran back to town and told the sheriff what he'd seen. The lawman and his posse rode to the cabin, but the woman saw them coming and fled into the swamp. When they finally caught up to her, she had fallen into quicksand. With her last breath, she cursed the town and swore that she'd return in 20 years to wreak her vengeance. Wreak her vengeance? I guess wreak. Eventually, her body was recovered and buried in the Glenwood Cemetery. Her grave surrounded by a chain link fence. Oh, it's right here. Look at that. Wow. It's a scary story, but where's the proof? Only this. On the day after the fire, several townspeople visited the cemetery and made a terrifying discovery. The old woman's headstone was cracked and the fence was broken in 2. Visitors still come to see the witch's grave, which has been untouched ever since. Well, yeah, no one's going to volunteer to do that. That one creeps me out. I don't know why. Not really sure I believe in stuff being cursed, but the little piece of evidence kind of convinced me. Okay, you guys, that is going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more from me, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I do only lo-fi videos here. I do a lot of like little crafts, stickers, lots of magazine reading. I hope it wasn't too early doing some spooky in July. And I will see you guys